Greetings again from here at IAS in the Philippines. So we want to welcome back those who are watching online, and we want to welcome our audience here who are watching live here in our program here at United in Diversity. Today we're going to talk about Zimbabwe. We're traveling to the southern part of Africa. We want to explore what is happening in that part of Africa. Today we have three people who are related, but before I introduce them, I just want to give a disclaimer for a program that views expressed on this program don't reflect IAS. They are only opinions of our program participants, and therefore if you have questions, please email us and we will be sharing with you the email address at the end of this program. I want to welcome three participants from Zimbabwe, and I'm going to ask the first one on my right to introduce yourself, your name, tell us your name, your marital status, your country of origin, of course, is Zimbabwe, what you are doing here, and how long you've been here in the Philippines.
My name is Watson Biriri. I'm married to Alisa, who's right here with me to my right. And together we have two children, Tandeka and Makomborero. So it's a girl and a boy, or daughter and a son. And I'm doing PhD in Old Testament. That's what I'm pursuing. Since the August 2003, around in the Philippines. And maybe since we already know I'm from Zimbabwe, I'll just mention maybe one about the country. Of course, Victoria Falls has been mentioned, arguably the world's largest waterfall, very interesting place. And then also the fact that other than the pyramids of Egypt, Zimbabwe has the largest ancient building in Africa, which is Great Zimbabwe, where the name comes from. Zimbabwe means houses of stone. These are stone structures out of granite. And this is the largest outside of the pyramids of Egypt and Sudan. This is the largest, and it was an ancient, very powerful kingdom back then, 700 years ago. So maybe that's an extra thing about Zimbabwe, and of course all the wildlife that you would find in Kenya, Tanzania, and so on. It's also there in abundance. Beautiful place.
Wow, welcome to our program, Pastor Watson. Yes?
I'm Alisa Mbiriri, married to Pastor Watson. I'm Malawian by origin. Actually, I can just say I'm from Southern Africa because my paternal grandmother is Zambian. So my name is actually Zambian. So I have Zambian and Malawian grandparents. But my grandparents moved to Zimbabwe when it was still the Federation, and they settled in Zimbabwe, and my father got married to my mother in Zimbabwe. So I was born and bred in Zimbabwe. Yes.
Culturally, you are definitely Zimbabwean because you have not really lived much in Zambia or Malawi. All right. Welcome to our program. And I see somebody very important to you sitting next to you. Please tell us who you are to these two wonderful people.
Well, my name is Fonsini Ganiza. This is my child. This is my son-in-law.
Wonderful.
So I have been here for 2 years. Then I went home for about 4 months to see my other children, since I've got other children in Zimbabwe. So I had to go back 4 months ago. I was in Zimbabwe. Then I came back last week. So I'm here I have to look after my children, my grandchildren, so that it can give enough time for my children to do their studies.
Wonderful. Welcome. We're glad to have you back. So we're going to learn a lot more from you, hopefully, because you've been around a little longer than the two. Yeah. Let's go to the next question, and we'll start with you. What makes your culture really unique in Zimbabwe?
Well, I can say our culture, it makes it really unique in Zimbabwe. It's about marriage, against marriage. The marriage there, when the two wants to get married, they don't just go into the marriage by themselves. they have to consult the elders, both families, for the husband and for the wife. They have to come together and discuss the whole issue until they come to an agreement. Then the husband pays the lobola until the final thing. To get married.
The question, how does the process start? Does it start with the two young people talking to each other, or does it start with the two families, the fathers of the two young people talking to each other?
No, actually, it starts with the two young people.
Okay, okay.
When they come to agree that they're going to marry,
Okay.
to the elders.
Okay, okay, okay. Was it like that with your grandparents?
Yes. Maybe
Okay.
I can say with the grandparents, some time ago, when the family is a bit poor, they can let their daughter get married to someone. They negotiate, the parents can negotiate, so that they give their daughter to another family, who is a richer family to them, then they can get some food or something in return to their daughter.
So you still have the system of the dowry in Zimbabwe, where you give gifts to the groom's family, brings some gifts to the bride's family, or not?
Yes, they pay, the groom, they pay some cows and some money.
Okay.
There's a certain amount
Okay.
they pay.
Is it preset by the culture, or it's negotiable between families?
Yeah, it's negotiable. It's
Okay.
negotiable. It's
Okay.
negotiable.
Wow,
But
wow.
it's almost nearly the same.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there's negotiable, but they see what was done with these other families, and what was done in that one, so they always compare and do.
I've seen some cultures where actually the education level, the academic level of the bride plays a role in setting up the dowry, the price.
Yes.
Is it also like that in Zimbabwe?
Yes, they do the same again in Zimbabwe.
So if you have a bachelor's degree, it's one amount, the master's degree is higher, and a PhD, it becomes even hard to get married.
Yeah, it's not all that much actually, but at least they charge a little bit more.
Okay.
Like my daughter now, she's a doctor. I was going to charge quite a lot of money.
That's why Pastor Watson was very smart. He married her before she got the PhD.
Yeah, only now you got married before she was a doctor.
Wonderful. I think Dr. Elisa wants to add something. Something very particular with unique with the culture there.
Yes. One other thing that's unique, I come from the eastern part of Zimbabwe, the Eastern Highlands. It's called Manica Land. Now, in that part of the country, there's one system which is quite distinctive, and that is the hierarchical system to whenever something is being done, whether in the family or in the community. Hierarchy is very important. Respect for the elderly and authority. So it works at a family level and also at community level, to such an extent that in the cultural system, whenever there are issues to discuss, let's say in the village, there's no opposition parties. People may have disagreements, but they have to sit under a tree and they thrash out the issue until they build a consensus. Even if it takes them the better part of the day doing that, they will do it. And at the end of the process, the presider, the chief, will then, all this while he's quiet, only his aides will be dealing with the people that are gathered. At the end, he pronounces the consensus that has been built. So when they leave that tree, it's not somebody's decision. It's a binding contract for everybody, and it has to be respected.
What would you say to someone who tells you, in Zimbabwe, there is no democracy? Because it's just the chief who says it all. This is a tricky question.
Well, yeah, it is a tricky question. But maybe democracy, I think it's a very good system for other cultures where it emanates from. But I think the Zimbabwean cultural or traditional way of governance was so much different. And personally, I think I have higher regard for that system because it would not pit one part of the village against another. People may have disagreements, but at the end of the day, people have to discuss. It's a consensus building process. It's not winners versus losers. It's everybody wins. Or if we are losing, everybody loses. So it takes a lot of time. But at the end, the agreement that is built, it creates so much social stability and everything like that. It's not, yeah, it's different. I think it's different from the conventional understanding maybe of democracy. It's a different system.
I just wanted to emphasize on that one that actually it's a misinterpretation when you say that there's no democracy. Because even for the chief to make this pronouncement, he has to listen to the voices of all the different people. And because he is known to be wiser than everybody else, he uses those ideas to formulate his own, to reflect the input of all the other people. They may not have to raise their hand, you know, how many people agree, but their voice has been heard. And I like this concept of making sure everyone wins. If you lose, everyone needs to lose. If you win, everybody should win. And I think that's a beautiful concept that we can use even in an institution like IAS, where we try to promote everyone to win, whether it's a student or faculty or people from different cultures, different countries, having an argument. We should always try to work on a consensus that will make everyone happy but before they go back home. You wanted to add something else, Dr. Liza?
I think one other thing which is unique in Zimbabwe is the totem system. This totem system is like a tribal mark which people use. It can be an animal. For example, you can use the lion. Or for my example, my mother's tribal mark is lion. And from my husband, I can say it's like a bull's heart. So you may have different surnames, or you may come from different parts of Zimbabwe. But if you have that same tribal mark, it means you are related. So you may be someone who's from the eastern part of Zimbabwe and another one coming from the northern part of Zimbabwe. When they have the same totem, like the same lion, if I meet someone who has this lion totem, it means that person is my mother's brother. If that person is a female, it means that person is my mother's sister. So I will respect that person as my mother's sister. If I meet someone with the same totem as my husband, if that person is older than him, it means that person is my older brother. So we will respect those people just like the way you respect his blood brother.
Okay. This is too much information. I never heard of this. Do you have like a tattoo for your totem, or do you announce it? How do you get to know the totem of the other person?
You don't have a tattoo, but it's something that the family knows.
No, but like, if I meet you in the market, I have never seen you before. How would I know?
Or when people meet, you introduce yourself, you mention your totem.
Oh, really?
Like, yes.
It's part of the greeting.
It's part of, yeah. You know, you mention your totem. And even when it's the marriage time, when the in-laws come to do the negotiation, the first thing that they are asked is their totem. So they will mention their totem, where they come from, and they will establish. I think even people with the same totem, they're supposed to get married because they are.
That was the next question I was going to ask.
Yes, so traditionally they would have maybe a ceremony. If you want to go on with the marriage, you have a ceremony to cut off or something like to break the relation that you are no longer brother and sister. So you can now go ahead with the marriage. And
how does that happen? Is there a ceremony for that?
Yes.
If you discover that you carry the same totem.
Yes. If there are extenuating circumstances that make it necessary for these two people to go ahead and get married, even though they carry the same totem, then they will have to have a white bull that has to be slaughtered.
Wow.
Yeah, it has to be spotless.
Wow.
That has to be, they have to, and it's not easy to get such.
Yeah.
And so that has to be slaughtered.
I've never seen one, you know.
So that is the one that has to be slaughtered, and the process is called chekau kama, which means basically you are terminating the relationship that you carry because of the totem. so that you can proceed to get married.
Wow.
No longer as brother and sister now.
Wow.
After that. So using the totem system, practically you cannot be a stranger
Wow.
in Zimbabwe if you're a Zimbabwean.
Wow.
My name doesn't mean much.
Wow.
My first name, my surname, they don't mean much. But the totem, that one, no matter what happens, it will never change. My daughter's name will change when she gets married. She will carry another surname, but her totem will never change. And that one is her true identity. And because of that, she can never be a stranger. She is always related to somebody.
Okay, this is very interesting. Your daughter, I know you come from two different totems. Yes. What totem does she carry? Yours or hers?
She carries the husband's, the father's totem, because you get it at birth.
Okay.
And it will never, she is zebra, and that will never change. Yes, because you get it at birth, it's an identity that cannot change.
Okay.
And so it's commemorated or perpetuated through, like, we have praise poems. When someone does something that is appreciated in the family on a daily basis, it's mentioned and it's expressed. We have these praise poems that are recited. Your mother will recite as a young boy, as you're growing up, as a young girl. And so it's never written anywhere that you belong to this totem, but it's deeply ingrained.
Another question. This is a tricky one. With globalization today, young people marrying from different countries. So let's say a Zimbabwean young lady marries somebody from South Africa, and they have a child. Which totem will that be?
Yeah?
Because the child cannot carry the totem of the mother. Will this child be without totem? Because the father is not a Zimbabwean. Obviously, he doesn't have any totem. Or do we assign a totem now to this new father who is not Zimbabwean?
Yeah, that's a challenging situation. Actually, maybe Dr. Tiengo, because he escorted someone, Dr. Muse's son was getting married to a Zimbabwean lady some time ago, and it's a very funny story because they got to that part where they needed to know, so what's your totem? But this young man was Tanzanian, and maybe he was not really sure what the totem was. We laughed about this sometime, and so they had to say, well, Kilimanjaro. They just took the mountain Kilimanjaro. And so up to now they just called Kilimanjaro, But anyway,
they have started a new totem.
Yes, it's a challenging situation. However, because of globalization, it brings a disruption to that family tradition. It brings a new dimension.
That's a completely new dimension because these children are still related to their cousins who have totems, and when they are introducing themselves, greeting people, playing with their cousins. And they cannot mention their totem because they don't have it. At least the one has a Kilimanjaro now. But they don't have that. Yeah. And I think you, the new scholars, you really need to find a way to address that.
Yeah, that's a challenging one.
Because they're innocent. They are innocent children. They didn't ask for this, but their parents have gotten them in this. Maybe there should be a new law that says, if a Zimbabwean lady marries a foreigner, their children will carry the totem of the lady.
Probably. But it's quite a serious thing in Zimbabwe for someone. If someone says to you, you have no totem, traditionally that's a very serious insult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that simply means you are an outsider, you are a stranger. You cannot be identified on the cultural radar.
Wow.
You are an unidentified flying object.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Wow.
So it's very deep.
Well, I'll have to choose my own totem before I go to Zimbabwe. That way I can fit in. What values are highly upheld in your culture? Let's start with Mama. The values. What values are highly upheld in your culture? Things that really everybody is expected.
Well, what we value in our country, as I said, we actually value the marriage at first. And then I didn't add on what I missed to say, even at divorcing again, the parents to go in again for the whole thing. You don't have just to do divorce. Yes.
So marriage is very highly respected, highly valued.
Yes.
Thank you.
Even if you divorce.
Even the divorce, the families have to be involved.
Yes, you don't just say go.
Wow.
Yes.
So basically comparing the Zimbabwean culture and some of what we learn in the culture of India, the marriage is not just between two human beings, it is between two families. Anything else you want to add, Dr. Eliza?
I may add on respect is something that is very valued. Like the young people, you have to show respect to the elderly, even in the way you dress. In your dressing, I may not just dress anyhow in the presence of my older brothers. I have to show that I respect them, even when we get visitors in the house. If I was just wearing some casual something, I have to change to show that I'm respecting the people that have come to the house. So you need to show respect to the elderly in the way you talk, in the way you greet them, you show respect. So respect is something that is highly valued. Yes.
Wonderful. Pastor Watson, anything else you want to add?
Hospitality and generosity. You know, reading the Bible, in the Old Testament, you find this story about Abraham, and when he saw some strangers passing, 3 strangers, and he goes out of his way to call them, and he prepares a whole meal for them. That kind of thing. Growing up, this is kind of like the atmosphere as it was in the village. I remember vividly my maternal grandmother, my childhood, I spent it with her, under her care. You know, someone would be walking down a path, a total stranger. And she will just get up from the shade. Please, hello, who is that? I don't know. And as she's greeting this person, she's also instructing you to get some mangoes ready, some food ready, some traditional brew that we have in the calabash. Please get it ready. And she's entertaining this person, and she's telling you to get this thing ready. You know, this is, and you know, traditionally, if someone were traveling and you come, you get hungry, you are passing by some people's fields, you have every right to get into the field and eat as much as you want. No one is going to ask you, so long you don't carry. And even if the owners of the field come and they find you feasting in their field, they'll just greet you, ask you where you are from. They will never ask you what you're doing. You know, so this hospitality to like strangers, and it's a value that's highly held.
That's impressive. Can you still see this in the cities?
No, this is
so
now,
actually this development is killing a beautiful cultural practice.
A lot has been eroded with modernization in quotes. We are getting advanced in certain areas, but regressing in others. It seems so to me.
I see Mama has another idea she wants to add.
The other important value in our culture is about the young ones. They respect the elders by when giving something to an elder, they have to bend a knee, bend a knee.
Okay.
Or both knees.
Okay.
When they give something to an elder, or the wife giving to the husband, they have to go like that.
Okay.
They have to bend a knee.
Okay.
So that they can give to an elder.
Wow.
Like a daughter giving to the father, they should do something like that.
Wow. You know, a lot of these things I think we should teach them to our children today. Let's go to Dr. Eliza. Tell us how people communicate in the public in your culture.
I think mainly the way you show respect, like what Mama just said. When you are greeting someone, you to show respect by folding your hands. The way you extend your hand, you may need to support this right hand with your left hand. That you're respecting someone.
I remember on another show we had, and Pastor Watson was here. He was telling us about all different kinds of greetings and the clapping. Can you tell us a little bit about that? There were different types of clapping. that was involved in communicating with people. Can you remind us of that? I think it fits very well in this communication.
Okay, so in the Zimbabwean culture, of course, there are many diverse ethnic groups, which makes the country very beautiful, a melting pot of cultures, but especially among the Shonas, Shona people. Now, it's okay to shake hands.
Okay.
Yeah, almost throughout the country. You can shake
And that
hands.
includes men and women.
Yes, men and women. You can shake hands.
Okay.
And then shaking hands is half the greeting. The other half is through the clapping of hands. And so, for men, maybe my wife is going to help me here, holding the mic. For men, the clapping is, the hands have to be in this formation. And as you are reciting, if you know the person's name and totem, that's the time you are reciting the totem. Moyo makadiniko chirombowe nenyama zenyama chirombowe zakadini muri, and as you are reciting,
Wow.
as you are clapping,
Wow.
they go together.
Wow.
And so you can have, when you can imagine when you have 20 people, all of them clapping at the same time, very rich sound and resonance.
Okay, wait. If you have a group of people, 7 of them coming, and they come from 7 different totems, are you going to do actually 7 different performances for each totem?
It becomes kind of like simultaneous in a way. Let's say this is someone who has just come, and there was already a group of people here, and then one person joins, and then they shake hands with all the people, and then they have to find their place. You find who is the least among these people. That's the person you tell that you now want to greet the elders or to greet the group. Then it will go in a hierarchical way until it gets to the most senior person. The person endorses by telling the next junior. The word comes back in the same hierarchy until it gets to where it came from. And then the person is given permission to start clapping hands. And the moment they start clapping, all these now respond, also clapping at the same time. As he is doing that, he is also reciting the totems of the people. And so this is how it goes.
So every Zimbabwean must know several recitations for different totems.
Yes.
Wow.
Because you are related, basically you have relatives in all the totems, so they are not strangers, they are all relatives.
How long is this this ceremony for each totem?
It will not be very long, especially in a greeting. You will not recite the whole.
Okay.
Yeah, just the most important, just identifying the first 2 lines or so. But if it is like in a family setup or in another context, that's when it may be necessary to do the longer version of it. But if it's just greetings in public, it's just it's brief, just mentioning, acknowledging.
Does this happen only in the family setting, or does this happen also when you meet somebody like in an administrative meeting, or you meet somewhere, you have not seen each other for some time in the parking lot or in the car? Or does it happen only in the house?
No, not necessarily only in the house. Even the way we greet each other here with my fellow Zimbabwean brothers and sisters.
I have not seen that. I need to start watching more.
It's only someone who's not very close to you that you greet really by name. Like, how are you, Pastor Guizo?
Yeah.
No, it's dearer, it's closer when I call him Soko. I call him by his totem. You see? So I don't greet
for those who are watching online, he's getting excited just by mentioning his totem.
Yes, I call him Soko, and that brings him much closer than calling him Pastor Guizo. That's distant.
Wow.
Soko, that's very close. And it brings you, it makes you family. Even if you are meeting for the first time, that totem instantly makes you family.
Wow. That is something else. I will have to choose mine today. You want to add something else?
Yes, with the way you greet my husband's family, when you are mentioning their totem, you don't, for the women, you don't look in their faces, like when you're greeting
them. In fact, the first time I went to his family for the introduction, it was a family gathering for them. I didn't know that when you are greeting them, you have to look aside. You also have to bend your head to show respect. So when I'm greeting my father-in-law and even his brothers, his young brothers, I cannot say hello. Even if I'm clapping, I have to look aside and say their totem, looking aside.
Wow. This is, I don't know if this is part of the Old Testament. It is definitely very intricate. Let's go to the next question. What social practices are prohibited in communication in your culture? You have just shared one of them, that you cannot looking at the people, even if you are using these other parts of the culture, you cannot look people in the face. Are there some other things that are prohibited in public communication? Yes, Mama.
Or maybe say like there's food. When you start to eat food in our country, say the mother has prepared food, you don't just do like this and you start to eat. You have to clap hands like what he said. You clap hands and you say the totem. Or even if you don't say the totem, but you have to clap your hands before you eat. And after you eat, when you are full now, you have to clap hands again to show that you are saying thank you. But the way of saying thank you is to clap hands in our country.
Wow. So if you have before people could have 10 children, are they all required after dinner to clap every single night?
Even the young boy like Mako, the young boy like he has got to learn to clap hands. Even if I hand him a sweet, he has got to do like this before he receives the sweet.
And after he is done with eating,
he can say thank you. Thank you.
And if he doesn't do that, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's very bad.
It's like you are not respecting someone who is giving you something or someone who has cooked the food.
I think you should write a new book and try to impose this culture all over the world. I think the world, it's like music. There's music all the time. Somewhere somebody's clapping all the time. You must hear people clapping all the time, and that's really, really beautiful. Anything else that's prohibited that you can think of while communicating with people in public?
Maybe interfering when adults are talking.
Okay.
If young people, you should not interfere. If you get visitors in the house, maybe the young people, you have to go out. You don't get into adults' conversation.
Okay. That's common to many cultures.
Also, it's very important to know that when a young person meets an elder person, someone senior to them, it's that young person's duty to greet first. They should not wait to be greeted by somebody senior to them. So they have to greet first. And also, if someone, an elderly person, or someone more senior is talking to you and they are seated, it's not proper to talk to them while you are standing. Yes, any person who's junior has to sit before they can answer or respond or attend to what is being said by somebody more senior to them.
Wow. This is really, really interesting. We'll go to the next question. I want you to share an incident you have had here at ISO in the Philippines that led you to some misunderstanding because the culture was different. Anyone? Starting with Mama.
Well, what I met here in Philippines yet as it's a bit different in our country because people here, they call you with your first name.
Yes.
In our country, it's not good.
How do you call someone who has children?
Like me, you have to call me with my second name.
My
child's name or my husband's name or my family's name. Yes.
You don't just call people who are older by their first name.
By the first name, like they just call Mama Fonsine. It's
what is this
now? They call me by my first name, of which is now I'm getting used, but it was a bit, They have to call me with my child's name or my husband's name. Or like my totem, like what she said, I'm Shumba, they should call me Mama Shumba, it's okay.
But if you are three of you and you are all Mama Shumba, how are we going to know which Mama Shumba we are talking to? Because all the three will turn.
Well, you can called with the husband's name. Anyway.
Okay. You mentioned something, and this is common to many African countries. Someone who has children is not called.
By the first
I
name.
remember when I was a kid, until like age 8 or 9, I never knew the name of my mother.
Yes.
They would ask me, "What's the name of your mother?" The name of my mother is Mama. What's the name of your father? The name of my father is Papa. I never knew their names. But my child, before they knew how to speak properly, they knew Safari. I said, this is globalization.
Yes.
It has changed everything. So can you explain to our audience who may have never been to Africa, how do you address someone with the name of their child? Because you have mentioned that you know, somebody who has children, you can call them by the name of their child.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Like, for example, my daughter here.
Yes.
She has got a child. The first child is called Tandika.
Uh-huh.
We should call the Mama Tandika.
Exactly. So it goes with Mama, which is common also in Congo and even in Uganda.
Yes.
You start with Mama and then you put the name of the child.
Yes. Once you've got a child, they've got to use the name of
Yes.
that child.
It is uncommon to know the first names of people, of mothers who have, ladies who are mothers. It's hard to know their first names unless you are the same generation. But the younger people don't actually get to know the name of someone who has a child. Beautiful, beautiful. Anything else that has been conflicting with your own cultural background and almost got you in trouble here at IAS or in the Philippines?
I may share maybe incidents in class where you find the students asking me my age. Of course, I'm young. There are times that I have taught in the DLCs with older people, so they ask me my age, and I find that somewhat uncomfortable. So there's one student, the first time she got into the class, she said, we have a young professor. How old are you, ma'am? So I was taken aback by that, but I'm now used.
All right. One thing that we learned in another program, especially in the cultures like South Korea and China, they actually ask age because they want to know if they owe you respect or if you owe them respect. But in many other cultures, obviously like Zimbabwe, it is very disrespectful to ask for the age. And so when we ask for age, if we see that somebody is uncomfortable with that, let's not push for them to give the age, because that means they come from a culture where age is a problem. Before we go to our last question.
I remember an incident not too long ago, walking into Dr. Gaptil's office. I said, oh, Mr. President.
For our viewers, Dr. Gaptil is the president of our university.
And so, Mr. President, that's how I saluted him. Good morning, and so on. He said, oh, you can call me Steve. You can call me Steve. I said, no. My culture, my African instincts will not allow me to do that. I cannot. And so he just smiled and said, I guess he understood.
Oh, very good. One thing I tell my students in the cultural diversity course is that when you are not sure whether people can be called by first name or not, always go by the family name, the formal way of greeting people. Because if you err, you need to err in the way of the positive side and not the negative side. So by default, let's use the formal one. And if somebody wants something other than that, then you have permission to do otherwise. So let's go to the last question. If we want to travel to Zimbabwe, and we have never been to Zimbabwe, what should we definitely keep in mind before we travel?
Well, I can say Zimbabwe is a very good country because when you go to Zimbabwe, you find it's not actual to say it's the international, but it's one of the international language, English. You find the small people, children, and the older children, they can all speak English. They can speak their country language, but a lot of people in Zimbabwe, they've got that one of the international language, English. So that it's easy for people to communicate with the foreigners. And the best thing again in Zimbabwe, the police, they don't ask for any document if you are right in the city. to say this one is a foreigner, where's your documents? No, they don't ask you. You are free to walk all over. You are just free unless there's an accident happens or whatever it is. But otherwise, if you are just traveling or what, they don't ask you anything. Even if there's a roadblock, they don't ask you, who are you and where are you going? No. You just travel free. And there are a lot of good places in Zimbabwe, like Victoria Falls and Zimbabwe ruins, is what he said.
I just want to go back to something else that we discussed earlier. If I go to Zimbabwe, am I expected to clap also in the greetings? Or am I exempt simply because I'm foreigner?
No, when you're foreigner, you can just say hello because they see the difference.
Okay.
That's when they see this one is not from Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Because you just greet your own way.
Okay.
But if you are a Zimbabwean, you have to put together your hands.
Okay. I won't be offending somebody if I don't clap.
No,
because in the first place, I will probably not even do it right. Because I don't know exactly, unless I practice with Pastor Watson before I travel.
No, they know you are a foreigner. It's not a case.
Very good. Next, Dr. Elisa.
I think one thing about Zimbabweans, they are very hospitable. So when you get to Zimbabwe, you feel free to ask even directions. It's not difficult to get directions from people. They can even try to accompany you. People are very hospitable to foreigners.
Okay, very good.
Also, something related to what Mama just said here, that it's very easy to communicate. For someone who knows English, it's very easy to communicate. Zimbabwe is Africa's highest literacy rate. And we owe that perhaps to the education system brought by the Jesuits way back in the 17th century. A lot of our people were sent over to Goa in India, where they did their studies, master's degrees, back then in India. So this education system has been part of the country's culture for a long time and so on. But it's important also to know, especially for ladies, avoid wearing very short things, short skirts and short shorts. It's not part of the Zimbabwean culture. Heads are going to turn if that happens, yes. So to avoid attracting unnecessary attention, it's good to wear something longer. Yes.
Well, we want to thank you so much for the input from the sharing you have had with us today. We enjoyed very much the intricacies of your culture, Zimbabwean culture, and I'm excited to go because, especially if they can clap for me, and in eating wherever I go, I just stop in any farm and I just harvest whatever I want, and as long as I can finish that, I love that part. And today I'll make sure I work on my totem so that next time you meet me, you will call me by my totem. And I want to get it actually in the Zimbabwean language, in Shona, so that people will not know.
By the way, when Dr. Augustine, who was professor here some time ago, yes, a Filipino, you went to preach in Zimbabwe about 2 years ago, and they could not, they said, okay, Augustine, that's a good name, but to give him a totem, they called him Kumalo, and this is a royal totem. Yes, Kumalo from among the Ndebele people, Pastor Sibanda is from among those people. Kumalo, that's a very high honor. So they said, forget, you pick up the Augustine when you go back. As long as you're here, you're Kumalo. So they called him Dr. Kumalo.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. The Zimbabwean community, please find a totem for me. I just hope I want to be a lion. Well, we want to thank again. Let's put our hands together for our participant. Thank you so much for your contribution. We have enjoyed so much. We have learned so much. We want to thank those who have been watching us online. And we want to thank our audience here for being with us until we meet you in the next program. We want to encourage you to stay united in diversity. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please send it to united@ias.edu. It's a comment or question or suggestion. Please do not hesitate to contact us. God bless you.